we can take advantage of the archives we have of congenitally malformed hearts also to understand the evolution of reparative surgery. And we see here the results of repair of a specimen with tetralogy of Fallot. We see here there is a patch that is closing the interventricular communication and putting the aorta back into the left ventricle. Here we see the rather dysplastic pulmonary valve, and we see that a patch has been placed in transjunctional or transannular position to enlarge the subpulmonary outflow tract. But we can also see that the surgeon has resected the septoparietal trabeculations, the septal attachment of the outlet septum, and the parietal attachment of the outlet septum. We can also see, however, that there is some hemorrhage here along the septomarginal trabeculation. And when I open the left ventricle and show you the outflow tract, you see rather nicely that the patch is inserted close to the margin of the ventricular septum, and there is further hemorrhage that is showing us well the location of the non-branching part of the atrioventricular bundle and the ramifications within the left ventricle, the left bundle branch. And it seems to me that the stitches placed at this position are rather close to the atrioventricular conduction axis. I'm going to take the patch out of this heart so that we can look at it again. So we're looking at the same heart I showed you just a moment ago, but now I've removed the patch. And this was repaired in 1974. And at that time there was a vogue for placing stitches directly through the crest of the ventricular septum, as you see here. Because we know that in most instances the atrioventricular bundle is indeed below the crest of the septum on its left ventricular aspect. Having taken away the patch, we can see that in this heart the defect is perimembranous. We see the extensive area of fibrous continuity here between the leaflets of the aortic valve, the tricuspid valve, and we see the membranous flap. But for my taste, these stitches have been placed rather closely through the crest of the ventricular septum, and as we saw previously when we looked at the left ventricular aspect, we see that in this particular specimen the atrioventricular conduction axis is remarkably close to the crest of the ventricular septum, and I fancy that a stitch placed at this point has damaged the conduction axis, producing this hemorrhage in the left bundle branch. So nowadays I think most surgeons would keep their stitches a little further from the crest of the ventricular septum so as to avoid risking damage to the conduction system in those rare cases where the conduction axis itself is directly on the crest of the muscular ventricular septum.